Here's the enemy.
Be careful. Air slash!
Fireball! Fireball! Thunderball! I'm glad we're okay.